Hello and welcome everyone to another volume of the TA Speakers Management Inspire Excellence Speaker Series. Today, I am so excited. I have a really good friend and colleague here with us, and we are going to be talking about building confidence and living your best life, both personally and professionally, with Courtney Stanley, award-winning change maker, keynote speaker, and energetic MC. Courtney Stanley is recognized globally as an award-winning changemaker, compelling keynote speaker, energetic event MC, and acclaimed creator of women-inspired podcast, Dare to Interrupt. Through her leadership and use of voice, Courtney has earned seats on prestigious international boards of directors as the youngest member ever inducted. She has spent 10 years helping women, young professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations engage in game-changing, impactful conversations that empower individuals to tap into their true potential, improve team and culture dynamics, and drive meaningful change. Her mission to empower women and ambitious professionals. Her mission is to empower women and ambitious professionals through vulnerable, meaningful dialogue, has resulted in changed behaviors and altered approaches to leadership on stages in boardrooms throughout North America and internationally. Please join me in welcoming an amazing friend and industry colleague, Courtney Stanley. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Tammy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on. This is so exciting.
Of course. Yeah, no, lots of goodies to share. Definitely an impressive person. So very excited to dive a little bit into just what has helped make you successful to this point, and how you can kind of give some tips to others as well to do the same and get out of our own heads is a big one. I think we'll be talking about.
I think so too. I think so too.
This dangerous brain of ours, it can be great, but not so great sometimes as well. Well, I do have some questions for you. So my first question is, you're a serious trailblazer in the events industry as an energetic MC, panel moderator, inspirational speaker, podcast owner, blogger, multi-award winner, board member, and so much more. I had to mention them all. What would you say has been the biggest contributor to your success, and how has confidence fit into this?
That is such a loaded question, Tammy, because I do feel like there is so much that contributes to success, whether it's failing. I think failure is actually a huge contributor to success. I think your support system is also a huge contributor. But I would say for me personally, I think having an ambitious spirit has been really important to moving forward and to really meeting goals. So I have that achiever type personality. I've done the Enneagram assessment. I'm the achiever. I know that I am somebody who really strives to be better and to do better and to really set goals and hit them. So I do think that having that ambitious spirit is really instrumental in helping to propel myself forward to the next thing. But I would also say that creating, and this was so unintentional over the years, but creating almost like a personal public relations strategy or a brand exposure strategy, where I started to really understand the importance of visibility and being seen. And, especially as women, we work so hard, and of course men do too. But I think as women, we often feel that work that's done behind the scenes will be seen. And a lot of times it's not. So really being intentional about shining a light on projects that were really meaningful to me, or work that I was really proud of that I felt could actually make an impact to make a difference to other people, other organizations, our industry, that became a really strategic part of my career development, professional development, success plan. So, doing things like making sure that I was talking about the work I was doing or connecting with people. I think really investing in building those meaningful relationships with the people in our industry, and our industry is amazing. So you're going to look to your left and look to your right and find somebody that you want to connect with. But really taking the time to invest in those relationships was also really key to my success. I think there are so many things. I think there are a million things that contributed to where I am today. But if I were to boil it down to three things, I would say ambition, support system, and visibility were really the three instrumental aspects to getting to where I am today.
Oh, I love that. Ambition, support systems, and what was the third one?
Ambition, support systems, and visibility.
Visibility. That was it.
Yeah.
Like the
Yep.
exact word. I was like, what was it? Yeah. Wow. I absolutely love that. I could not agree more. That's really interesting what you say on the visibility piece, because it's not something I've even thought of for myself as a woman in business. Like I don't know, I guess, because like as women, we, like you said, we're kind of used to being behind the scenes more, and not like boasting about what we're up to, I guess.
Yes. Yes. That's something that I hear. So I also do career confidence coaching, mostly with women. And one of the greatest pain points or challenges that a lot of my clients have is not wanting to feel boastful or just feeling uncomfortable talking about the work that they're doing, or they feel like they're bragging about themselves. And it really is important to look at it from more of a strategic lens. So look at it as your public relations strategy, where it's like, listen, if nobody actually sees what I'm doing or hears about what I'm doing, word of mouth is also really important, then I'm not going to be able to make money or make connections or meet my goals or make an impact, which is something that's really important to me. And you asked something else, Tammy, in that first question, and that was, how has confidence played a part in
Right.
your career development? And to be honest, I think I was reflecting on this question as you were asking it. And I think that the moments that I regret the most in my career and also in my life are the moments where I really got in my head and I got in my own way. And I feel like the more that I walked forward with confidence and really believed in myself, or, fake it till you make it does work. You've
It
got to
does.
flex
It
that
does.
muscle and you
Yeah.
just continue to get stronger as you become more confident in practice. But the more that I walked forward with confidence, even when I was feeling nervous or I was dealing with things like imposter syndrome, the more that I was able to operate authentically and the more success that I found. And actually, as an entrepreneur, as someone who is I'm by myself, I'm building this business solo, I have found that the more that I am myself with
Yeah.
unapologetic confidence, the more that I'm booking clients that we're just a great fit for each other. So I'm starting to attract the right partners, the right clients, the right audiences, because I'm just being myself. And I think the other side to that is that it makes me happy because I get to connect with people that are truly in my same vein. So I think that looking back, the moments that I'm like, man, I wish that I had spoken up for myself, stood up for myself. I wish that I had stayed true to my values. Those regrets all stem from a lack of confidence.
Wow. No, and thank you for sharing that. I couldn't agree more. Like confidence and mindset, it's kind of mindset you're talking about, like that ambitious to move forward, are really, really key, like so much so. And I really want to touch too on support networks, because I'm a big believer in that as well. I mean, I started my business out of COVID, and if I didn't have the support networks that I have, like people saying like, you can do it, like go forward, I'll support you, I don't think I would have done it. So I think I love that you get out there, you're ambitious, you like, make yourself known. You're like, hey, this is what I'm up to. If you align with that, let's connect. You make new friends. And like you said, it's like, I love that. It's all about that authentic being of yourself, and putting that out, and people see that and they get attracted to that, right? Because we're all human at the end of the day, is what I like
Yes.
to say.
So
Just
true.
human beings on this planet trying to make a meaningful impact in the world. So that's awesome. Well, you've definitely been making some great impacts, so thanks for sharing that with
Thanks,
us.
Tammy.
I love this next question because I'm a big believer in silver linings. So one of your mottos is to help others seize the silver lining opportunities to grow personally and professionally. What does this mean to you, and how has doing so helped you in your career path?
So I am somebody who really does believe that oftentimes your purpose, your life's purpose, can stem from your most painful experiences. And I'm going to say that again because I'm hoping that anybody who tunes into this conversation takes a moment to really reflect on this piece. If nothing else is a takeaway from our conversation, hang on to this piece, because there's a lot of individual work that can be put into thinking on this. So I believe that oftentimes your purpose stems from painful experiences that you've had. So because we're human, we're all human, we've all had setbacks, we've all had failures, we've all gone through painful experiences. But I also believe that there are lessons to be learned in every single painful experience. And I also believe that there are opportunities to grow and potentially even flip those setbacks into comebacks, which actually has been one of my biggest keynotes that I have been working on over the past, year and a half, is turning a setback into a comeback and how to actually do that. The reason why this is so meaningful to me and so relevant to me at this time and to so many other people is because the pandemic literally turned people's worlds upside down, especially those who are in the events industry. So what I encourage people to do is to really look for those silver linings. So yes, failure is painful and a lot of times it sucks. But
Yes, it sucks.
is there something, is there an opportunity for us to somehow optimize that experience and turn it into something that's more meaningful and more impactful? So I'll give you a quick example.
Okay.
One of the most painful experiences that I've had was working for a really toxic leader. It was working for somebody who was incredibly manipulative and took advantage of their employees. And it was a really excruciating experience to go through. And it was a time where my confidence was really lacking. And I would say imposter syndrome was absolutely an issue and a challenge that I had to battle with. But this was years ago, and there were lessons that were learned. I did grow from the experience. And what I have found is that pain that I experienced has actually turned into something that I have become very purposeful and passionate about. And that is helping to coach other people to rebuild their confidence, to re-identify with their value and with their really who they are and what they bring to the table, and to be able to voice that value and move forward as a more confident person and somebody who believes in themselves. So if I hadn't gone through that experience and I hadn't seen that silver lining and I hadn't tapped into why do I feel so passionately about this painful experience that I went through, I never would have found the joy that I have today in really building these meaningful relationships with people who've also experienced similar pain and being able to help empower them to move through it maybe a little bit better than I did, a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently, and maybe even with more confidence.
Wow, I love that. I love how you say purpose comes from pain, because it's true. Life is not without discomfort. That's something that, I've always believed, and it's coming true more so now. I mean, my biggest pain point was losing my job. That was painful. Like I never, I think it's important to acknowledge the pain too, right? Because it's like, it sucks. Like you said, it sucks.
Yeah.
But then it's like, what do we do with that? And, we always have a choice. I think that's what it comes down to, is there's always a choice. We can choose to sit in it and kind of be like, oh, this sucks. Or we can make a conscious choice of like, okay, what is the silver lining here? I mean, I would never want COVID to happen, but one of my silver linings that I've identified out of it is that it's brought people together. Like it's really brought people together on a more human level, and people are recognizing that we're all the same. We can all suffer from the same things. So I would never want anything like that to happen. It's like, we never want the uncomfortable parts to happen, but when they do, I think you're right. They teach us something, and we learn from it, and it makes us stronger. It definitely makes us stronger.
Yes.
It doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Yes, Kelly Clarkson. Yes, that is very
Kelly
true.
Clarkson. Yeah, exactly.
So
I love that.
if I could sum that up,
Yeah.
not only, we talked about purpose stemming from pain, but I would also say taking that a step further, once you've processed that pain and you've moved forward and you've moved out of it, I would say that the most joyful and purposeful work that you will ever do is helping people go through and get through that same pain that you went through.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would encourage people to just take away and think about a little bit too. What is that pain for you? And how would it feel to help somebody else get through that same type of situation?
And share it with others, because we isolate ourselves sometimes and think that we're the only ones, like, even though we know we're not at the end of the day. So I think sharing it with others as well, like,
Yes.
just being vulnerable on social media and just sharing what you've been through as a regular human being. I love that.
Yes.
I always go back to that because it's true. It's like, we're human at the end of the day. That is very
Yep.
true.
Yep.
Oh, okay. This is something I want to talk about for a while because, oh my God, it is something that I have learned about this year. And we touched on it a bit, but we're gonna dive a little deeper. Let's talk imposter syndrome. I think this is a big one, especially for women. I'm sure men experience it too, but definitely for women. This is something I've personally experienced myself as a woman in business, and I know many others in a variety of careers have, whether they work for themselves or not. What do you think causes this kind of self-doubt thinking, and how can high performers like us battle it and not allow it to impact our overall success?
So
I like the deep questions, Courtney.
I do too. I fully appreciate them. I love a good deep question. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say in terms of the cause, it could be so many different things.
Yeah.
I would say comparison is a huge trigger. So, social media, let's talk about social media very briefly. Social media creates an image that people have it all together, or that they live this perfect life, or that they're, the most confident, successful person, the happiest person in the world. And so many times we don't know. I mean, it might be true, but at the same time, we actually can't see behind the curtain. So I think comparison and social media are huge triggers for imposter syndrome. I would say societal expectations and illusions. Societal expectations and illusions are huge triggers for imposter syndrome. I think a lot of people struggle even with, feeling confident in their own skin, body image. And again, this goes back to social media, feeling like you belong, like you're good enough, like you fit in. So one of the key pillars of any content that I produce is the idea that, or the belief that we are all worthy just as we are, without any awards, without money, without connections, without status, without power, just being human beings, we have worth. And nobody can ever take that away from us. And I think that worth very closely ties in with confidence, because once you start to really digest and understand that you are worthy just as you are, you feel free and you feel more confident to just walk your walk and to be authentic and to be yourself. But I also think some of the more common triggers for imposter syndrome are things like rejection. I think getting fired, I've been fired twice, getting laid off, getting demoted, whatever it is, professionally speaking, a lot of rejection can lead to a lack of confidence or a decrease in confidence, and therefore starts to trigger that imposter syndrome. It could also go back to childhood trauma, whether you had experiences at home or you didn't have a traditional, what society would say is a traditional upbringing or family structure, or you experienced some sort of bullying, whether it was, as a child or a teenager or in college or even in a workplace, that can really harm your self-esteem as well, which then feeds into that inner critic. So what I practice with my audiences, with my people, with my coaching clients, is to really start by to battle imposter syndrome, to start by looking at the objective truths. So if you are struggling with who am I, what am I really good at? What do I bring to the table? Am I good enough to be here? Feeling like you're not good enough to be there, you don't belong at a certain table, or you don't belong in a certain room or setting, is to look at what you actually truthfully, black and white, bring to the table. So what work experience do you have? What life experience do you have? Take a couple different assessments like a strengths finder or even an Enneagram, and let somebody else tell you that you're really, really exceptional at these 5 skills. These are 5 core strengths that you have that make you the valuable asset to this team or to this structure. And again, this goes beyond worth, because I do believe that everybody is worthy, but starting to really write those things down, put it all on paper, write down any education that you have, any certifications that you have, any awards that you've won, all of those things, just word vomit it onto a piece of paper and look at it, because that type of feedback is objective credibility. It's objective validation. So any doubts that you have about whether or not you belong, you can look at that and say, no, I have all of this experience. I have all of these things that clearly, objectively say that I belong in this room. Now, something that I would also encourage people to do is to get more qualitative feedback from people that you trust. So I recommend that people look into your life network and pick 3 people to talk to. Pick maybe a friend or a family member, pick a person that's in your industry that you've never really worked with before, but you guys have known each other for a really long time. And then pick somebody that you have worked with and ask them, what would you say my top 3 strengths are? And then also ask them, what is one way in which you've seen me hold myself back? A lot of times, battling imposter syndrome starts with self-awareness. So not only an awareness of what you're really great at and the value that you bring to the table and the positive way that other people see you belonging in that room, but also how are you day to day holding yourself back? What have other people observed where you can take that information and you can start to work on it and you can start to chip away at it so that you are your most confident self. And then I would say, finally, I think one of the most important things that we can do to really just eliminate imposter syndrome as much as humanly possible is to combat it. So when you hear that inner critic, and we all have that inner critic, whether it's you don't feel like you look your best, or you walk into a room and you don't know anybody and you're like, what am I doing here? Maybe I'll chug a glass of wine and escape to my hotel room as quickly as possible because I'm so out of my league here. And you're having that internal dialogue. The best thing that you can do is to call it out. It's actually helpful if you even give your inner critic a name. So, I mean, you can call her the B word if, that works for you too. You can just call her out and just say, this is just because I'm feeling this way doesn't mean that it's true, and start to have that conversation. And again, going back to the idea that confidence is truly a muscle. The more that you flex it, the stronger you're going to get. And you just have to start walking forward, challenging that inner critic, and really reminding yourself of who you are and what you bring to the table and how worthy you truly are.
Wow, there's so much juiciness in that. I love that. That's my word.
I love
I'm
that.
using to describe it. No, so I love it. I'm like, okay, yep, noted. We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. I love it because it's all about self-awareness, like you said. And, I feel like we go about life and we just do what we do and we don't acknowledge it. Right. Like, so by writing that down, I'm going to do that. Like, I think, it will surprise you. You'll be like, holy, actually, I've done this, this, and this, and this is what I have. And it just helps reinforce that. So thanks for sharing that. That was so
Hope it's helpful.
great. Yeah, no,
Fingers
that
crossed.
was so helpful. And the 3 people you trust too is great validation. Like, what is it that they find are your strength, or moments that because you forget those moments.
You do forget.
You forget those moments.
Some people are like, well, you shouldn't need, to hear somebody else's validation to feel better about yourself. And it's like, no, sometimes you do need that. Sometimes it is exactly what you need in that moment, is a reminder of who you are and what you're capable of. And I think, Tammy, you even talked about this a little bit when we dug into silver linings a bit. That support system in terms of getting to where you really want to go is critical. So it's not a weakness to lean on your support system in times of need. It's a strategic move. And it's a brilliant move to give yourself that opportunity to fill your cup up to the point where you feel like you can start pouring it out again and you can keep walking forward. And this is only my 2nd year as a full-time entrepreneur. I was a side hustler for 8 years prior to this, speaking, writing, podcasting, doing all that stuff. But I only launched my business in the beginning of 2020. So you can imagine it was an incredibly difficult year. And there were so many times where I doubted myself. Can I really do this? Even just circumstantially, am I able to actually build a business at this time in the events industry as a speaker? How am I going to do that? And there were just the right people at the right time in my support network who would send me a card or, a self-care kit with, eye masks and candles, or would just text me and be like, hey, you've got this. I believe in you. Don't give up. And it was just those moments of reassurance that kept me moving forward and really helped remind me that the work that I'm doing is important, and I really do want to make an impact. And these people believe in me, and I need to believe in myself too. And I retook my strengths test, my strengths
Nice.
finder test last year, and which I would suggest everybody do. Retake it every couple of years, see where you're at, because you're going to change, your skills are going to shift as you evolve. And my top strength last year was self-belief. And
Huh.
I was like, wow, okay.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
Okay. So I do think that it makes a difference to have that support system to really help fill your cup and to help you propel and move forward, to make sure that you are doing the work you really want to do and being the person that you really want to be.
I love it. We are not meant to be alone, my friend. We are meant to
No, we're
work
so
and help
not.
each
We're all
other.
connected.
We're all
Hmm.
connected. So I love that. Okay. One last question for you. I want to talk a little bit about leaders, work you do with leaders. So in the work you do with leaders, you speak to authentically, actively listening, authenticity, active listening, emotional intelligence, vulnerability are the heart of real leadership. Can you tell us more about this and how these qualities benefit leaders?
Yes. Great question, Tammy. So, I mean, I would say that the best leaders are in touch with who they are first. I think that people who lead with authenticity, I think that people who are not afraid to be seen as human, that really do actually lean into vulnerability, that practice self empathy. I think that truly the key to impactful leadership is connection. It's connecting with your team on a level where they also feel seen and they feel empowered to just be themselves, to practice vulnerability, to make mistakes, and to just be human. Getting back to that humanity
Yeah.
piece. I think that people who really do feel connected to their leader as a person, who trust their leader, that they believe that that person is really, they have their best interests at heart, they're investing in their well-being and their growth, they care about them, those are the people who feel motivated to work harder, who invest in the bigger vision of the team or of the organization or of the company. And they tend to stay in those companies longer because they're happier, they're more productive, they feel empowered, they feel seen. So I believe that teaching leaders how to be more empathetic, how to practice emotional intelligence, which all starts with self-awareness and how you really treat yourself, speak to yourself, see yourself, all of that stuff bleeds into a team and helps that team to feel connected, empowered, the human ability to be human, all of that good stuff. And that, I mean, there are so many studies that prove that those types of qualities in a team, in the culture of a team, will create less
Yeah.
turnover, will create more productivity, will create more profitability for the company. And it truly is a win-win. So I believe that the best type of leader is a leader that is self-aware, that is authentic, and that is empathetic and emotionally intelligent. And the studies show that that stuff really does matter. So
Yeah.
it's been a great passion and opportunity of mine to be able to provide strategies to increase empathy and to increase emotional intelligence and to increase self-awareness so that leaders can be more effective for their teams and for the culture of the company.
Wow, that's really good. And I couldn't agree more. Like, you got to believe it yourself and be that way yourself and be confident to help others see that as well. Right. And I do a lot in this space, with speakers about, like, if people feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, then they're gonna go the extra mile. And hey, happy business bottom line. So, who doesn't like
Exactly.
that, right? Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for joining us today. This was really awesome. A lot of great, just tidbits about, like, yeah, just getting out of your own head and pushing forward and having that mindset, and, just support networks and leaning on others are key. And just being your authentic self, I think, is the key message here. So thank you so much for sharing that with all of us. I definitely benefited. I know the listeners will as well. And thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode of the Inspire Excellence Speaker Series. If you'd like to find out more about Courtney, you can go to courtney-stanley.com, or you can contact me as well at tammy@taspeakersmanagement.com, and I'd love to chat. Thanks so much. And until next time, see ya.
Thanks, Tammy.